A federal court said the post office gun ban is unconstitutional. So, why could the average gun owner still get jammed up for carrying there? Because unconstitutional doesn't always mean you personally are protected.
Chapter 1: The USPS Rules. Before we talk about the ruling, we need to understand why people said for years that USPS was a hard no. And the reason is simple: because the written laws and rules on the subject were that broad. The postal regulation does not just talk about the inside of the building, it says the rule applies to real property under the charge and control of the Postal Service. And then it says no person while on postal property may carry firearms, openly or concealed, or store them on postal property, except for official purposes. That is why people have long treated the building, the parking lot, and even the gun left in the car on postal property as part of the problem. Then there is the federal facility law. That federal statute says if you knowingly possess a firearm in a federal facility, you can be fined or jailed up to 1 year unless an exception applies. And the statute defines a federal facility as a building or part of one that is owned or leased by the federal government where federal employees regularly work. So for years, gun owners were dealing with two layers. One rule aimed at federal facilities, another postal rule aimed at postal property. In 2015, the 10th Circuit did not give gun owners a parking lot exception. In Bonity versus USPS, the court upheld the USPS firearm rule as applied to the post office property, including the connected USPS parking lot. The opinion said the regulation was constitutional as to all USPS property at issue in that case. So when people confidently said, "No guns at the post office" means no guns at the post office, they were not making it up. But then Bruin changed the fight. And once that happened, the old USPS assumption finally got challenged in a serious way, creating mass confusion over what the law actually allows. Chapter 2: The ruling people keep getting wrong. Then came the ruling everybody keeps quoting in the comments, and this is where the confusion starts. In the lawsuit brought by Firearms Policy Coalition and Second Amendment Foundation, two major gun rights legal groups, a federal judge in Texas ruled in 2025 that the government had not shown a strong enough historical tradition to justify banning firearms in ordinary post offices or on surrounding post office property, aka parking lots. The court said the USPS conduct on postal property rule and the federal facilities gun ban could not be enforced against the plaintiffs and the members of the plaintiff organizations in an ordinary post office or on the surrounding post office property. The court also made clear that an ordinary post office does not include one on a military base or inside another government building where carry would already be prohibited. That ruling was real, but people started reading way past it. In March 2026, the same Texas court clarified the injunction. It said the protection applies to the plaintiffs and to all present and future members of Firearms Policy Coalition and the Second Amendment Foundation. That matters because FPC and SAF were not random groups mentioned later. They were plaintiff organizations in the case, and the court treated them as suing on behalf of their members. So this did not create a nationwide permission slip for every gun owner in America. It protected the people who sued and the members of the plaintiffs' organizations covered by the injunction. If you are not in that group, you should not assume that ruling protects you. Now it gets even messier. In March 2026, a federal judge in Connecticut went the other way and upheld the federal facilities gun ban as applied inside post offices in a separate case. That court treated post offices as sensitive places tied to government operations, public congregation, and public safety. So now you do not just have one clean answer. You have federal district courts splitting on the issue while the broader fight is still moving. All right, so here's the payoff. The ruling is real, but the protection is limited. The headline can be true while your personal legal risk is still very real. That is why the comments are a mess, and why treating this like a clean nationwide win is a good way to become the test case. But that leaves the real question. Chapter 3: What that means for us right now. So, what does that mean for us? Well, if you're the average gun owner watching this video, you should not treat one Texas ruling like a nationwide green light to carry at USPS. Because the written postal regulation still says no guns on postal property except for official purposes. Because the federal facility statute is still on the books. Because another federal court just upheld the ban as applied inside post offices. And because even the Texas injunction was written for the plaintiffs and covered members, not for all of America. So when we say in our other gun law videos that USPS is a prohibited place, we are not ignoring the ruling. We are telling you the safest, most accurate read of how this is actually being enforced right now. Now, this is still good news for gun owners because it cracks the door open for more challenges to these bans. And groups like Firearm Policy Coalition and the Second Amendment Foundation are actively pushing those fights in different courts. But those challenges are still working their way through the system, and the results are not consistent yet. A big problem is a lot of people online hear the word unconstitutional and stop reading. Yes, the post office gun ban took a real hit. No, that does not mean everybody in America can now walk onto postal property armed like nothing changed. And on a side note, if you do carry daily, I'll hand it over to Jane.
Hey, if you made it this far, you probably care about doing things right. If you've tried carrying in gym shorts or sweats, it just never feels quite right. Waistband moves, holster shifts, it's fine, but it's not dialed. That is why we built Relaxed Fit Tactical. Our shorts lock onto an inner belt, so your holster clips to a hidden belt, not just fabric. Same setup, same draw, just more comfortable. So if you carry every day, this just makes sense. Links below.